Hello, you're welcome to this episode of Questions and Answers with Grace Renner. On this show, I answer your deepest concerns, I answer your questions. So feel free to send me your questions through any of the channels that I'll be leaving at the end of this video. Now, let's move on to the first question. Okay, this person says, and trust me, we'll leave you anonymous. Okay, so this person says, I've been dating this guy for 5 years now. We've been cohabiting, having sex, but he still isn't saying anything about marriage. Now, let me start by saying this. Please, ladies and gentlemen, please do not give anyone spousal advantages, spousal privileges when they're just dating you. So let me even make it specific to the lady that asked this question. If you're dating a guy, do not give him husband privileges until he marries you. Okay? Now, I know someone who has dated or who dated somebody for over 15 years. They were having sex, cohabiting, and when it was time for him to get married, he left her and married somebody else. All through their dating, she kept taking Postinol and all of these contraceptives to prevent pregnancy. But when it was time for him to get married, he left her the whole over 15 years of the dating, and he got married to somebody else. This lady in question is still single till now, and she's over 40. Now, it's not even about the age or whether she's single or not. I'm just saying to you that please don't give anybody the privileges that they're not deserving of. Because a lot of men, when they're getting what they ought to be getting in marriage already in their dating phase, they might start to drag their feet or not proceed at all with, getting married to you. Okay, now, so this is what you should do if you are this lady. Number one thing that you want to do is ask him, have this conversation with him if you have not had it at all. Ask him, when are we getting married? When are we having the proper marriage rights? Because we have been living as spouses for a while now. So when are we doing the right thing? Now, whatever answers he will give to you will give you a cue into whether you're just wasting your time with him or, what the issue really might be. Secondly, please, I urge you, move out of his house. Or if it's your house, let him move out, okay? And if it's not your house, move out. Look for a friend to stay with or a relative or rent an apartment or go back to your parents' house, okay? Don't live with anybody that you're not married to. Now, the interesting thing is the Bible has given us guides, as to how to relate with our spouses or people that we're not married to yet. And it's important that, that we follow these guides to prevent us from pain, okay? So move out of that house, sit down and have this conversation with him first. Let him know that you no longer want to displease God by living with someone that you're not married to. Now, secondly, stop having sex with him. I urge you. Your body is the temple of the Holy Spirit. Tell him you will no longer continue having sex with him. You no longer want to dishonor God with your body. One of the ways that you show that you honor God is by keeping yourself, until marriage. So let him know that you can no longer continue like this. Now, one of two things will happen. Number one, he might threaten to leave the relationship. And if he does threaten to leave, my sister, please let him go. He's not for you. God will compensate you with somebody else. Okay? God will compensate you with somebody better, the one that is for you. And then number two, he just might, see the need to move quickly, get married to you, and bring you into his house properly and have sex with you as God has designed it. Okay, so if he says, oh, money is the problem is sometimes you want to do something big for the society. With the little that you guys have, call family and friends together, or maybe leave friends out. Just call family, essential people in your family, call a pastor, and just do the joining, proper joining. Let it be that God is now in the center. There is now a marital covenant where God is now involved, and then move into his house as his wife. But don't keep sleeping with him or living with him until these things are properly done. And like I said, you don't have to do anything big. In the nearest future, you can do something big. I know of people who got married with little or nothing, and then 5 years down the line or 10 years down the line, they called it marriage blessing, and then they did the kind of dream wedding that they really wanted. Okay, don't allow the size of the wedding or the size of your pocket stop you from doing the right thing. So if really this is the reason, maybe financial reasons, proceed to just getting married. Proceed to catering to those who you can afford right now. And then in future, you can do something big. I hope this was helpful. Please, I urge you, do take this advice and let me know how it goes. Thank you. You're welcome back. So number 2 question. Now, I suspect my husband is cheating, but I haven't caught him yet or have any evidence to back up my suspicion. Please, how do I manage this situation? It's messing up my mind. He is not as available as he used to be, both emotionally and physically. He has also changed his phone password and takes some calls in the car. Wow, I empathize with you and I really hope that he's not cheating. When a lady says, oh, she's observing certain things or seeing certain things, I usually do not doubt these things because God has put in us women the gift of intuition, okay, whereby we perceive certain things even before they happen, or while they're happening, we're able to tell, what is going on, or, sometimes it might not just be mere suspicion, it might actually be that it is what it is. Now, let me say this to you. Fear leaves us tormented. Now, you can already see that it is messing up your mind and you're even uncertain. So let me say this, please, okay, stop playing detective. Do not be worried about it. In Philippians 4 verse 9, the Bible says, be anxious for nothing, but in everything by prayer and supplication, make your request known unto God. God's way is the best. There's no other way I can advise you outside God's way. And this is what I'll say to you. Please pray about it. Let God know your suspicions. Let God know how you feel about it. He is touched by the feelings of our infirmity. Talk to him about it. And now say to him that if your husband is cheating or doing something that he's not supposed to be doing, let God expose him and correct him. Don't play detective anymore. Don't do God's job. Don't try to control the situation. God knows best. God is in control. If he's doing something wrong, God already knows it. So ask God to open your eyes, to show you, to expose it and correct him. God is the best person to reprimand him. Okay? Let God correct him. Now, I remember a friend shared this story with me, about how her husband was cheating, but she didn't know. But she suspected. And then one day she prayed about it. And, usually he would say, oh, I'm going to visit the neighbor. I'm going to the neighbor's house. And one day she was looking for him. She was calling him and he wasn't picking. And she remembered, oh, my husband said he was going to the neighbor's house. And then she went, innocently to say, oh, I'm looking for my husband. And then the neighbor, who was so kind, led her into his bedroom. And she saw her husband sleeping on the bed, having sex with a strange woman, a girl. Now, apparently, his friend had been telling him, but what's good about telling him if you would let him do it in your bedroom? Okay. Anyway, to cut the long story short, she saw for herself that her suspicions were not wrong. Okay. So pray about it. I remember a movie, War Room, where her husband, the lady in question, her husband was beginning to fall for his secretary and was taking things further. Now, she prayed that God will expose him, and God exposed him and corrected him. This is something that God does easily. God is interested in the sanctity of your marriage. Your marriage is a covenant between you and your husband and God. And trust me, he's a faithful God. He will always uphold his own end of the covenant. Okay? He is at the center of the marriage. So talk to him. He will be the right person to reprimand your husband. He'll be the right person to show you what it is and take you out of suspicion and, messed up mind to, actual sound mind. He's interested in your sound mind. So he would show you what you need to see. But trust me, he will correct your husband in the best way that will touch your husband. Now, let me refer you to a story in Genesis. Now, in Genesis 20 verse 3, we saw we read where God said to Abimelech, oh, you are a dead man because you've taken into your home the wife of another man. And God was referring to Sarah and Abraham. Now, the context of the story was, out of fear, Abraham had allowed Sarah to follow Abimelech, saying she's my sister. Now, out of the innocence of Abimelech's heart. He took Sarah in, but God caused him to sleep so that he would not touch Sarah. Now, in his dream, God warned him, saying, return that woman back to her husband. I made you sleep. You would have been a dead man if you touched her. She's somebody's wife. This story always gives me goosebumps, because this is how deep, this is how strongly, this is how deeply God is involved in the sanctity of your marriage. So go on your knees, talk to him, tell him, God, I do not know. I do not want to leave my mind at the state that it is. I want to have a sound mind. I feel that my husband is cheating. If truly he is cheating, Father, Lord, expose him. Let me see. Expose him. Let me know, and correct him in the best way that you can. Okay? Stop him from doing whatever he's doing. It might not even be that he's cheating yet. It might just be that the burden that you have is that he's headed towards that direction. God can stop him at any point that he is at. Okay, and let me also say this. Okay, you mentioned about him distancing himself emotionally and physically, and there's one thing that I've noticed. Communication is a big problem in marriages, in relationships, and that's one of the reasons why marriages are going under this whole divorce thing repeatedly. Let me use the right expression. Now, according to researchers, okay, communication or poor communication is the reason why a lot of marriages are going through divorces. Now, you might have had this conversation with him, or you might not have, but let me advise you, please sit him down and let him know that you feel like he is withdrawn. Okay, this man might be going through a lot. It might not be cheating, or that he's headed towards cheating. It might just be that he is depressed. It might be that he's going through mental issues, physical issues, financial issues. A lot of men internalize their problems as opposed to talking about it with their spouses. So be that friend that you need to be to him. Sit him down, ask him questions, let him know how you feel about his, distancing himself from you and all of these things, or him distancing himself from you rather. Talk to him about it. You might just be surprised he might need help. You might just be surprised it might not be anything. You might just be surprised, that he has passworded his phone or changed his password because of another person, maybe a colleague or somebody that's spying on him. And let me give you a personal example. I never used to put password on my phone, and then recently I had to put a password on my phone because my sister had a dream that our home staff was monitoring me. Now, for someone who didn't have a password before, and her husband could easily access her phone, who now has a password, without having to explain to my husband, what the situation was, he might have felt, okay, what has changed? What's happening? But is someone correct to ask me, okay, what's happening? Why did you put password on your phone? I had to tell him, see, this was a dream that my sister had, and personally, I started to feel uncomfortable with this boy who is asking for my phone to browse or to go on YouTube or to call his family, because his phone was bad at the time, or to call his family and all of these things. So I had to unlock the phone myself, give it to him, so that not in my absence, he would take my phone and go beyond the call that he needs to call, or the Facebook where he needs to reach his fiancée or something. Why did I share this long story with you? Sometimes assumption might be the problem. So sit with him and tell him how you feel, and just hear his own side of the story. Okay. Thank you so much for joining me on today's episode of Questions and Answers with Grace Renner. You too can ask your questions, and I'll leave you anonymous. Kindly send me a mail at Grace E. Renner. So Gracie, that's GRACEERENNER@gmail.com, and I'll answer your questions. I'll leave you anonymous, okay? Make it as brief as possible, and I'll answer your questions. I'm here every week to answer 2 questions, or you can send me a DM at Grace Renner Official on Instagram, and I'll answer your questions. Thank you very much, and have a blessed day.